Hey ladies and gentlemen, Legacy here. Wanted to sit down and chat about No Man's Sky again, and finally somebody of importance revolving around the release of No Man's Sky has something to say about it. Finally, as in not really, maybe, kinda, sorta, but no. So in the flurry of the last month since the game has come out, the flurry of anger and mistrust and confusion and confession, and all of that time of waiting for some kind of information on why the game released the way it did, lacking features and promises, and some kind of an idea of what the roadmap for the game looks like, Dan Silver from Eurogamer caught up with Shuhei Yoshida, top dog over at Sony's Worldwide Studios, and kind of pressed him on what's going on and what happened with No Man's Sky. So first things first, Shuhei Yoshida said that I had the opportunity to play the game right before launch, and I restarted playing the game on launch day with the day one patch, so I could see the struggle for the developers to get the game out in the state that they wanted it. Okay. He then comes out and says that he really enjoyed playing No Man's Sky, but could appreciate why others maybe don't feel the same way. Come on, Shu, stop hitting us with these non-answers. He keeps going. I understand some of the criticisms especially Sean Murray is getting, because he sounded like he was promising more features in the game from day one. It wasn't a great PR strategy because he didn't have a PR person helping him, and in the end he's an indie developer. But he says their plan is to continue to develop No Man's Sky features and such, and I'm looking forward to continuing to play the game. Okay, so I've got some issues with this. So not to take away from Sean Murray and the way he handled all of the pre-launch, pre-hype, mega-hype verbiage that he utilized for pitching this game to the crowd, I think we really should not do the whole blame game, throwing people under the bus thing here, because let's face it, I really don't think it was Sean Murray that positioned this game as a $60 game. I really don't think it was Sean Murray and Hello Games that said, hey, let's go to Stephen Colbert's show. I really don't think it was Sean Murray that said, hey, let's show up on the E3 stage, not once, but twice. It wasn't Sean Murray that says, hey, let's push this game like a AAA game in the AAA gaming space with a AAA gaming price. So really, Sony has to bear some responsibility in this, and what this says to me is a couple of different things. There isn't that deep of a contractual obligation for Sean Murray to have a muzzle on right now about the state of the game, especially when it comes to the PC version, because of the Sony marketing agreement that they have because of the physical copies of the game. Mind you, speaking of physical, the PC Collector's Edition still hasn't been shipped to people. So that's got to be frustrating. But that's a topic for another day. And you know what? There is some truth in the idea that Hello Games needs some kind of PR person to help lead the messaging for what's going on with No Man's Sky. Are we done with the patches for the games to fix and improve the systems and the performance? And are we ready to move on to the more supportive content structure of the game? What does that look like? And if you see the drop-off in players on Steam, you've gone from right around 200,000 players in the first week down to like the 10 or 15,000 range. And that was as of a couple of weeks ago. So yes, I think for the quality of life, the quality for the future of No Man's Sky, and the quality of the trust in the future of Hello Games really rides on somebody coming out and saying something that isn't the blame game. Somebody somewhere needs to own this. Somebody somewhere needs to come out and address the issues. And the hard silence that Hello Games is taking right now just isn't the way to go about it. Sean says what matters most right now is what we do versus what we say. But that maybe works in an environment where people don't feel like they were lied to, where people don't feel like they were given a misrepresented product. Look at Battlefield 4. When that released in an absolute crappy state that it was, DICE and EA came out, they apologized, they said they were going to fix it, and they supported the game for way longer than anybody would have ever imagined. Free maps, free support, All of the DLC maps are now free, which happened last week. They came out and they owned it. You look at the Titanfall beta that just released or came out and came and went. There was a lot of negative perspective on that game. There was a lot of people that didn't really like it and didn't really feel like it encompassed the boldness and the sort of heavy-hitting, large-scale chaos that game had and what I appreciated for. And they immediately addressed it, said why they wanted to go that direction, said what they're going to do to fix it. And now a lot of people feel better about the final launch product, about what they're going to get. So open communication with the community is important, even if some of that community is absolute shitty, even if some of that community aren't very nice people or they don't provide feedback in a positive manner. Somebody has to come out somewhere and say something. If you want to have a future in this industry as a developer, you have to earn that trust back. And we know that actions are louder than words. That's very true. But if you expect people to buy back in later down the road, yeah, you should definitely do that. Because right now, you're kind of floating in Molyneux mode, and that's not very good for you. That's not very good for the game. That's not very good for the future of the developer. But Sony, you need to take some ownership in this, right? And here's the problem with Sony. In this kind of instance, unless it's a first-party game, which No Man's Sky really isn't, it's kind of positioned that way, and with it being console exclusive to the PlayStation 4 for now, Sony is definitely not going to fall on this sword, right? They're not going to just sit and let an indie developer drag them down and affect their brand. Speaking of affecting the brand, Yoshida was pushed later when he was asked if maybe this kind of launch harmed the brand. And he commented and said, "I'm super happy with the game, actually, and I'm amazed with the sales the game has." Go on. So I'm not the right person to judge if it has harmed the brand. I personally don't think so. If anything, I'm proud that people can play No Man's Sky on PS4 as well as PC. Okay, yet another non-answer. So here it is. Who's going to own this, right? Because now we're going to do the finger-pointing game. And of course, we know with how quiet Hello Games is right now, of course, they're not going to clap back and say, "Hey, Sony, well, you made us do this," or "We are contractually obligated to do that." And this is really unfortunate because if there is a contract that is muzzling Hello Games right now for whatever reason, well, Sony, you are what's holding them back. You are the PR disaster. You aren't saying anything when really effectively you should be, and you should be taking responsibility for this. I also wonder why and how it is that this game got released in the state that it did. When you go back and say that you downloaded the first patch to see the stress that developers had to rush this game out. Okay, we delayed the game about 6 weeks. Why couldn't they delay it further? What's the problem there? Why couldn't we do that? So you're creating more questions than you are answers, and really it's just not very good form. It's not a very good response, and it's not something that I would expect from a professional, from either side, to be honest. So hopefully soon we'll have more of an idea of what's going to happen with No Man's Sky, and we get an idea of what some new content updates look like. Let's see a roadmap. Let's see a direct path. But otherwise, this star is just going to burn out quickly. Let me know what you think, folks, in the comment. Do you agree? Do you disagree? What do you hope to see in the future for No Man's Sky? But otherwise, if you think this was useful information, give me a subscribe, give me a like, and hang out for future content here on the channel, future reviews, future commentary, future opinion, and I hope to see you later.
They can't have my brand. I have special eyes.
Look with your special eyes.
My brand!